So today I wanted to talk about emotional responses. Had a friend, have a friend, that keeps going back to the same damaged relationship. Um, and every time it falls through, he comes to me and asks me for advice. So, I said to him, I said, look here, man. I said, maybe, because every time he comes to me, oh, she's pissing me off, or she's treating me this way. I said, instead of paying attention to what she's doing, why don't you analyze how you are, how it's making you feel, and how you are acting on your emotional content. Um, it's not all that difficult to actually see the emotion coming, or oh, why does she always have to make me feel this way? No, she didn't make you feel that way. She might have said something that you are emotionally attached to. Your ego will grasp, you the concept, and you dwell on it, obsess over it, and you keep, in trying to avoid the emotion, prolonging the effect of it. So instead of looking at her as being the root of the problem, why don't you look at yourself and your choice in women? And I said this to him last time he got back together with her. Go figure. And he gets back together with her. Not even a week later. Not even a week later. He's already, back at my house, knocking on the door. I said, dude, you just move on with your life and go get it with a beautiful woman. This girl's not even pretty. I mean, she could be pretty, but she's not. The right application of makeup and spackles, she's okay. But she's really just kind of sleazy and nasty. But that's my opinion of her, and there's a lot of other people that share that same opinion. They also share the opinion that he could do better than her. And a friend of mine said to me yesterday that after I had chastised him, he goes to his brother and says to his brother that, oh well, dude is coming down on me saying this is all my fault. Well, it is all your fault. You keep getting back together with her. That's what I said. And he says to me, he said, well, yeah, I know. I told him. I said, he says, I said, all your friends, your family, everybody agrees that she's kind of garbage, and 9 out of 10 doctors can't be wrong, but he doesn't listen to anybody's advice because he doesn't really care. If he cared about the advice, if he cared about the energy and the effort that it takes for his friends to give him these explanations and to point out his behaviors, because it does take a relative modicum of effort to actually talk to people, you know, um, to solve another person's problems. It takes effort to solve your own problems, but I'm not a psychiatrist, and I told him, I said, look, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist. If you keep coming to me with your problems, I'm gonna start charging you like $200 an hour. So because it's got to be worth my time. I waste my energy trying to solve your problems, and all you do is continue bringing these problems to me without any kind of oh you know reciprocation of any kind. Yeah, we smoke weed together and stuff. He smokes me out, so I guess that's a good pay. Because it's always chronic. It's not cheap. So, but the point of it is that it's emotionally and psychologically draining to deal with other people's problems. Now I understand why psychologists commit suicide every year, and the percentage is pretty high, actually. Anyways, it's the nature of emotional response is if you're not equipped as an adult to handle them, they can rule your life. And I told him that. I said, look, need to, you know, just not feed into the emotion. You're in control of your brain. It's part of you. It's part of the entire whole. And if you're not in control of your brain, then you're at the sway of your emotions because your brain is the one producing the chemicals to elicit responses. Um, if you deny the response, it goes away. The emotion goes away. After a time. It's just like happiness. Happiness is a form of suffering, according to the Buddhists. Happiness, happiness is, as it said on Mad Men. I just watched that episode. I thought it was hilarious. He said, happiness is what you have right now, just before you need more happiness. Thought that was hilarious, man. So what you have right now before you need more. Oh, that's great. I thought that was great because it's true, man. One form of suffering leads to another form of suffering, leads to another form of suffering. It's always like a big cycle. And we trap ourselves in what we see as comfortable. And I said, maybe you're comfortable suffering. That's why you keep getting back together with this girl. Because you're insane and you think, oh, well, next time we're going to live happily ever after. But that's not how it works because human beings are individuals and she's an adult and she makes her decisions. And here he is trying to convince her that her decisions are not, conducive. She's not acting in her right mind. She evidently doesn't want to be with you. Otherwise she wouldn't break up with you a week later or 2 weeks later every time you get back together. Because she's got some other fucking direction she wants to go in. She almost got married to another guy last time they broke up. And they weren't even together for 2 months. She's like a 16-year-old in the mind. And I said, look, you're just like that too. You're like a fucking little kid, you know, uh, not really gauging what it is that you could be doing with your life differently. Instead, you follow her around like a lost puppy. Oh, I love my girlfriend. I said, oh, my girl. That's what he calls her. He said, that's my girl. I said, no, it's not your girl. You're not married. I said, that's your girlfriend. There's a difference. You don't own anybody. And I told him, I said, the beginning of your relationship failed. When you first met her, you failed that relationship. The fact that you put out ultimatums, she did the same thing. She said she tried to get him to quit smoking cigarettes. If you have to try to change the person that you love, then there is no point in being with that person because you really don't love them for who they are. You love them for what they represent in the relationship. But that's compared, that's like I guess you could call that, relativity of human being, of human relationships. It's relative to the individual perception, and it's not, it's not your relationship, and it's not her relationship. It's both of your relationship, and you either, act a certain way to, gain the favor of your love, or you don't. And she does the same thing, and it's like the opposite of what you should be doing, oh, well, this is my relationship. That's just the way it looks, you know. But I'm starting to ramble. But anyways, I was going to do this one on comparative psychology and how we apply our stimuli to our emotional content, which is really a silly thing to do. I mean, just gotta let your emotions like be in context instead of just acting on them. And I probably mentioned this in another episode, but I had a friend who got in a fight with his girlfriend or his baby's mother at like 2 in the morning, and he came to my house at 2 in the morning, 2:30 or so. He told me the whole story. His wife had gotten a text that I sent him. I sent him a text talking about, hey man, you still want to come over and smoke some green? And she didn't approve of him smoking weed, so she woke him up and threw his phone across the house. It didn't break. Surprise. Um, but she continued to berate and berate him, denigrate him, all these things, the nasty language that she used. And he stood there, patiently trying to wait for her to simmer down. And she wouldn't. She didn't. She didn't simmer down. Instead, she just kept going on that same, you know, she was just rattling, just pissed. And he lost his temper and kicked a chair, and it escalated the situation, and he left. He came over to my house. And I said, look, I said, you felt the emotion coming, and you acted on it. Because anger is the first, I mean, that is one of those emotions that you can feel welling up. Just like sadness, just like when you're about to cry, you can feel that headache. You know, well, anger comes from a lower point, like a stomach. And it builds up, and it builds up, and it builds up, and it builds up until you act on it. I said, but you can feel it coming. You know, the thing is how do you apply yourself to that emotion? You know, and that was the point of the video today. But anyways, that's what I got for you. I figured I would ramble a bit, and I probably did. I kind of have a tendency not to be able to focus on one particular aspect of what I want to talk about. So, anyways, that's today. That's it for today. Questions, comments, likes, dislikes. Thank you for watching. If you did, have a beautiful day.